Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Today, I am going to very lovingly talk you into becoming a millionaire. Now, you know this has been on my heart and mind for a while because I did the Becoming a Millionaire series with Julia Carlson last month. And last episode, I talked about the mindset shifts that will expand you into becoming a millionaire. And what I want to touch on today is why it's more important than you probably realize, especially if you feel the call. If you feel that spark inside of you to create more wealth, to create more impact, to have a bigger business, if you feel there is a calling for you, I want to talk about why it matters and why shouldn't even be a single cell in your body that feels guilty about this. Because creating wealth as a woman, becoming a millionaire as a woman is so much bigger than the vision board version of it, right? Which I mean, it's not just about buying materialistic things and looking wealthy and going on private jets and having a G-Wagon and a Birkin bag and all those things that are kind of the brand, quote unquote, of wealth. That is not what I'm talking about. Although those things, sure, if your heart feels called to them, by all means. But I think there's a bigger, deeper, more purposeful reason to become a millionaire other than what you can accumulate. Because when women become millionaires, it doesn't just affect you. It affects us globally, societally, culturally. It actually makes a massive positive impact on the world. So you deciding to step into wealth and expand in that way goes far beyond just you. Now, last episode, while I was talking about the mindset shifts that can help you become a millionaire, it's all about moving from a me focus to a we focus. Oh, what can I do with the world? How can I co-create? How can I make the world a better place through this and through my impact? And that is what we are talking about today, is the global impact that becoming a millionaire is going to make. And I did a lot of studying for this episode. Took myself back to school. I wanted to get statistics. I wanted to actually understand statistically what happens when women step into wealth. And what I found was, I knew it was a positive thing, right? I knew that deep in my bones, but what I have found statistically literally blew my mind. And it really made me think, my gosh, my purpose feels bigger than ever. This is huge. And I know a lot of people feel all disoriented right now with many of the things that are happening in the world. And creating wealth and using the resource of money is a way that you can positively influence the world because you can give it to causes that matter. And I'm going to talk about the different ways we can do this because that doesn't just look like one thing. It doesn't look like just giving a ton of money to a politician so that they can go make a difference. It's actually doing it in your communities. It is doing it towards the things that you value. It is giving back, right? And giving back to charities and philanthropy. That makes a huge difference, but it can go far beyond that. So I want to talk about what statistically happens as more women are becoming millionaires. Now, fun fact, female millionaires are on the rise. So as of 2023, this was the only report I could find, but as of 2023, the number of female millionaires has risen by 5.7%, which to me, it doesn't seem huge, but what? That's a good amount, right? Percentage wise, 5.7%. Now, what surprised me is that is nearly double the rate of males becoming millionaires. So women are on the rise. They are stepping into wealth. They are accelerating into it. And I want to invite you to be one of those women and to make a positive impact on the world in the ways that I'm going to be sharing in this episode. So without further ado, let's talk about how women make an impact through wealth. And side note, these stats are on what happens when women step into wealth. It's statistics. So I'm going to be talking to women. I'm going to be talking about women, but really any heart-centered human can do this. It is not only for women. So if you are a heart-centered human who wants to do good in the world with your money, listen up because you can absolutely apply these things. Okay, so what happens as more women step into wealth? Number one, communities become wealthier, right? There's a statistic that shows that women reinvest up to 90% of their income back into their communities, whereas statistically, men reinvest about 30 to 40%. This means that as your wealth grows, and if you reinvest it back into your community rises. It's not just you rising with the wealth. It's literally your entire community all around you, right? So this is your family. This is your neighborhood. This is the education around you. This is, small businesses. This is, local businesses. This is community resources, healthcare, right? Women tend to invest in this much, much more heavily than men. And so women don't just accumulate wealth, they distribute it. So it really is one of those things where when you rise, you are raising others along with you. So again, it's like, why would anyone feel guilty about creating wealth when they're rising and they're inviting others to rise along with them, right? By the distribution. It's an amazing thing. And I've seen this firsthand. I have a client who became a millionaire in the past couple years, and she gives so much back to her community. And it is so inspiring to witness because it's really a part of her purpose. And I feel that deep within her. In fact, one month, she raised $25,000 for a cause that mattered to her big time in her community. And she is doing a lot of philanthropy. She supports the community. It is so beautiful to witness what she does with her wealth. So just take that into consideration, that it's not just about you. Your community is going to rise, especially when you're intentional with it and you decide that you want to put back into your community. Another one that happens when women become millionaires is that generational poverty breaks. So generational poverty breaks when women build wealth because money creates safety, stability, and long-term capacity. So wealth removes the constant stress that keeps families in survival mode. It allows better decisions. It provides access to higher quality education and opportunities. It interrupts the financial trauma passed down through generations. So when a woman becomes wealthy, her entire family shifts from reacting to life to designing life. And it really can stop with you. It doesn't matter where you came from, how much trauma you have around money, how much scarcity you were brought into. It doesn't matter if you were in survival mode growing up. You now have a choice, right? And you can decide to break the patterns. Is it the easiest thing in the world to break patterns? Of course not. That's why you're listening to the podcast to get support. But you can do it. And generational poverty breaks. So it's like you're not only doing it for yourself, but your entire lineage, right? You're doing it for those who came before you who couldn't do it. And you're doing it for those who potentially come after you, right? Or the people in your life that you influence. It's amazing. So some examples of this might be being the first woman in your family who doesn't worry about overdraft fees, being able to actually save for your child's college, Maybe it's paying off your student loan so that your kids don't have to repeat the cycle. Or choosing healthier food options for yourself and your family or those around you instead of having to calculate every dollar at the grocery store. It could simply be money just no longer being a source of tension in your marriage anymore. So you could be the first person in your family or within your generation with financial calm. And that is life-changing. Quick commercial break to let those of you who are ready for this know about something we have coming up. Okay, if you are already a six-figure entrepreneur, you don't need more hustle advice. You need a new room, a new space to grow into your next evolution. So from January 14th through 16th, I am co-leading a free live millionaire challenge with financial and business strategist Julia Carlson. And this is for entrepreneurs who are ready to scale with depth, integrity, and impact. This isn't about chasing more money. It's about becoming the kind of leader who can hold $1 million energetically, emotionally, and structurally. So we're going to be blending manifestation, nervous system expansion, and millionaire strategies so that wealth feels grounded, sustainable, and aligned. So if 2026 is your year to heal generational patterns around money and step into heart-centered millionaire leadership, this is your invitation. Go to jamieberman.com/millionaire challenge to register. The link is also in our show notes. Now, just to remind you, the right room changes everything. I can't wait to see you inside. Okay, the third thing that happens when women become millionaires is that the wealth gap shrinks. Now, the gender wealth gap is massive. It's actually a lot bigger. The wealth gap is a lot bigger than the pay gap. The pay gap is how much money do you get paid. The wealth gap is how much money do you have net worth-wise, invested, growing, multiplying. What is your wealth? What is your net worth? That is massive. That gender gap is huge, and we are shrinking it by choosing to step into wealth as a woman. So wealth gaps shrink because women just use money differently. Again, like I said, we pour it back into our communities, we save it, grow it, nurture it, we hire other women, we create opportunities that didn't exist before. And the more financially empowered we become, the more autonomy we have, which naturally dissolves the patterns of dependence and inequality that have kept us small for generations. So when a woman becomes wealthy, she's not just increasing her personal net worth. She's redistributing opportunity. She's expanding what's possible for everyone around her. And she's literally shifting systems that created the gap in the first place. So insanely powerful. So what this might look like as the wealth gap shrinks is being able to leave an unhealthy job or boss because you can afford to, or no longer depending on a partner financially, even if it's a healthy marriage. That autonomy changes everything. It can really make a difference. Not that it has to be that way, because I'm a big fan of also, if you've listened to the podcast, you know, sometimes there is a place for learning to receive and not feeling like you have to strive to be equal and you have to strive to make more than your partner or be the breadwinner, right? It just depends on the situation, but it can be a really, really empowering thing for the right individual, for many individuals, to no longer feel like you have to depend on someone, to feel like you have some autonomy and you have some power around money and you have some control around your ability to create it, right? Another one that, just to give you another example, is, this allows women to have support, pay for a therapist if you want to, have your own accountant, pay for your own lawyer, right? The things that you might need to feel empowered in your life. So really incredible things happen when women become empowered around money and they step into wealth, and that wealth gap shrinks, which gives more options and choices. And that is a beautiful thing. So I'll leave you with this. Wealth gives women choices, and choices give women freedom. Okay. Now, the next one that happens as women become millionaires is actually philanthropy becomes more effective. So here's back to my research. Research shows that women donate more money more often and with more intentionality. So we have some fun examples of this. Recently, I was watching, I just saw a clip of it online. Maybe it was on Reels or on TikTok or something, but I saw Billie Eilish had donated $11.5 million from her tour to the Changemaker program. And this is a program that supports charities working to combat hunger and climate change. She gave $11.5 million. Now, Billie Eilish, yes, she's extremely successful, but what you have to understand is she doesn't have $1 billion net worth, right? She's maybe worth 50 million, but that's her net worth total, all of her assets. So to give $11.5 million in cash at one time to one program is extremely just inspiring. It's not something we see very often. Let's put it this way, especially just knowing what she makes, and how much she's raising and giving. It's incredible. And what was really fun about that clip that I saw is that she was calling out all of these billionaire men that were in the room with her at an award show. And she's like, guys, I gave 11.5 million. I am not even a billionaire. Like, I am not even 100 millionaire, right? And she's like, what are you billionaires doing? And I love that she brought that message forward because my hope is that it inspired others. Studies also show, as I was doing research, that female donors are more likely to support things like education, mental health, community centers, refugee programs, climate change initiatives. So women don't just give, they give to the places that change society structurally. And this is extremely impactful, right? So that's something for you to think about as you're growing your business is how do you want to use the money that you are creating to impact the world in a positive way? And it doesn't have to look one way, but even if you gave 1% somewhere that felt really important to you, it is going to feel so good. And I love what Tony Robbins says, although I don't know if I fully agree with this, but he says, if you don't feel comfortable giving 10% of $100,000, you're not going to be comfortable giving 10% of $100 million, right? Which I sort of agree with, that it is helpful to get started, like doing something. You can always make some change with where you are. The only part that I don't agree with is that I do believe that it's a lot easier to give way more money when you are in massive overflow, when you're not in survival, when you're not just making ends meet, when you're not just paying for the things that your family needs. So, sometimes $100,000, if that's what you make, it's stretchy by the time you pay taxes and have a whole family. And depending on where you live, I know the place that I live, that is a very, very challenging income to live on if it was 100,000, right? So depending on where you live. But anyways, that's a total side tangent. But I say that to say there's always an opportunity to start, even if it's $1, right? To start giving it to causes that matter. Okay, another positive impact that this rise of female millionaires is making is that it actually changes workplaces. So when women lead companies or become wealthy enough to influence industry, work cultures tend to shift, right? So companies with more women in leadership have higher employee satisfaction and lower turnover. Women-led companies are also more likely to offer things like a flexible schedule, mental health benefits, pay transparency, different things in terms of maternity leave. on-site childcare. It's just, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of women just know deeply what is needed for a woman to thrive at work. I mean, let's be real. A lot of women tend to hold a lot of plates at once, right? They sometimes, depending if you have kids, sometimes you're a mother, sometimes you're a caretaker, sometimes you're a daughter, sometimes, you're holding the house together, managing the house. And of course, it's different for every household, but women tend to be pretty good at multitasking and doing lots of things and knowing and having compassion for others who are holding so many plates and also working. So with this, they can implement that as leaders, and they can have compassion, and they can implement ways that women can really thrive in workplaces. So it really does change the culture of workspaces. And just as an example, with Patagonia, the company, it's founded by a woman. They introduced on-site childcare decades before it was mainstream. So when women lead, workplaces become more humane and sustainable oftentimes. And of course, men can do this too, but I do believe that women just, they see the world differently, especially given that they have a different life experience than a man. So it's amazing what happens in terms of workplaces as women are stepping up and also stepping into leadership roles along with men. Okay, another one that's super positive: when women step into wealth, innovation expands. So there's new ideas, and it's new ideas that only a woman can think of, right? So for example, women-founded health tech companies have built postpartum care solutions, menstrual tracking tech, pelvic floor health devices, hormone balancing apps, right? These things probably couldn't, they can be founded by men, but women have a reason to do this. They know what this is, right? So it just expands innovation and it creates more solutions for women. So this is a super positive thing. Women just innovate differently. Another one is that political power shifts. So as we know, money impacts representation and policy influence in a huge way, right? You can give to political leaders that you believe in, that are aligned with your values. Also, female philanthropists have funded women running for office, grassroots movements, and voter access initiatives. And when women hold wealth, community voter turnout increases, especially amongst women and young people. Now, women also fund advocacy around maternal health care, child care affordability, gender-based violence, and reproductive rights. So wealthy women shift policy, not just possibility. So again, if there is something in the world that you see that you are not liking, stepping up and leading, and not only just making more money, but stepping into leadership can be so effective. All right. Another positive thing that happens as women are becoming millionaires at a faster rate is that it is changing cultural narratives. So when female wealth becomes visible, society recalibrates what's normal, right? And this can look like a mom being a breadwinner and the husband being thrilled about it. This could look like a woman normalizing help, right? Normalizing a nanny, a housekeeper, a meal service without any shame. It could be her friends asking her, "How did you do it?" instead of judging her, because it's going to start looking more and more normal as more women do this. It could be her daughters growing up thinking it's normal for women to earn millions. No problem. Of course, I'm going to earn millions. My mom earned millions. It could be her son growing up seeing women as leaders, owners, and providers. So every visible, wealthy woman rewrites culture for the next generation. And you, my friend, are next. Now, let's talk about why this matters. Now, of course, you might say, I get why it matters, right? But let's talk about it. Your desire to become wealthy is not selfish. It's not excessive. It's not too much. It is aligned with global progress. So when you rise, think of this: communities rise, families rise, industries expand, inequality shrinks, the world becomes more stable, fair, and empowered. So your wealth is not just personal, it's a collective transformation. You becoming a millionaire is world-changing. Not someday, not theoretically, but directly. And if you're ready to step into that identity, not just for yourself, but for the ripple effect that you're about to create, this is your episode and this is your moment. So with that, I would like to invite you to plant a seed of possibility that you can become a millionaire. Yes, you, no matter where you are right now, it is a decision. It is something you get to choose. And again, I've been talking about this throughout the past couple episodes, but it really just takes the choice, making that choice, educating yourself, releasing some stories about why you can't do it, maybe getting some coaching or listening to this podcast, right? And just intentionally choosing it. Right? And aligning yourself now with the future version of you who is already a millionaire. Start seeing it as possible. Start seeing it as done. And start using your wealth to impact the world in a beautiful way and leave it even better than previously, than before you were a millionaire. What a beautiful thing. All right, my friends, happy manifesting millions. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.